Tonight, we are gathered to perform a critical analysis regarding the video, the new Pearl Harbor, to give answers to the questions proposed by Activity 2, showing the ways of each one, for which we have the company of Group 15 of the English 3 course. Aida, good night, how are you?
Good evening, partner. Very good, thank you for asking.
Christian, I'm glad you join us tonight.
Um, Good evening. Equally happy to be here and be able to accompany you in this debate.
Okay. Partner Diana, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Laura, good night.
Good evening, Khaled and companions.
Okay. Christian, could the United States Air Force have avoided the attacks?
Mm. From my point of view, the US Air Force had the necessary resource to carry out the control of controlled measures in controlled manner to avoid as much damage as those caused to several of the most important and representative places. Perhaps they would not have been as large of or catastrophic as those that occurred since the kidnappers had to make an attack against the hostages they carried on the planes, but with the armory carrier being the United States shoot down the plane before the collapse or had made strategies which will try to avoid damage as massive as the one that occurred. What would one of the most important power in the world gain from carrying out this attack? Likewise, we cannot forget all the offered plays that were emblems on its economic art and its security. I think it will be placed in lives in danger, but perhaps this could reduce the damage and possible the number of people killed by this attack, which marked the history of the United States.
The Air Force did have the ability to have shot down the planes, but since they were hit in those planes, it wasn't not an easy decision to take, nor was in winning they reach.
Okay, Aida, were the Twin Towers the Liberty demolished by explosives?
On this, there are many contradictions which undoubtedly after this terrible history that happened on September 11, 2021, which started at a 4:45 a.m. with the first plane that crashes in the North Tower, and minutes more the second plane hit the South Tower ladder. The attack attributed to the Al-Qaeda extremist group led by Osama bin Laden. There is much more to see than perhaps many of the newspapers and many newscasts present. And there is talk of the conspiracy signs. There are many inconsistencies. One of those inconsistencies are the vows that even today not only American have. But the interwar showed us some investigations of organizations on the people and peoples were not very convinced of what really happened that day. With the attack of the two planes to the World Trade Center that were crashed and that according to what the United States government presented later, the fires were the cause of the massive destructions of the towers, where everything was literally dusted. Although perhaps the crash could have set the building on fire, and the structure had to have been there. As you can see, the towers after the impacts remain standing, without showing any important effect on its stability. And it was confirmed that the aircraft for it was too little. They tear down the towers used to destroy the floors that have been crashed. This is said by many engineers and people who know about the subject. Also, as there was no building that because of the fire, much less building of the size. The strangest thing is the types of craftwork had the given time to vacate the burning building of collapse signs the tower were building the support the quake 3 or 5 times more than those they were these buildings. The truth is that the planes were the cause of destruction, the part of the building, but it was really strange is that many people who say they happened and managed to leave the building before of collapse say they were heard and explosions could be observed inside the towers minutes before the collapses. One explosion after another in the ground floors. This is very strange. Signs the fire were at the top because explosions were hard in the lower floors. Also, not only the people who left the building and spectators at the time of the attack. In the same videos of the news and other natural persons who record the events, we can observe and listen when assumed to exploit several efforts in the towers. It would be impossible not to devote the version shared the government during the NIST. A fact that I found relevant is that one of the people who managed the building commented that the lower floor of the crash were as did nothing happened. And we have the question because the collapse is so scaled. In this way, many researchers agreed on what could have happened because of the way the Twin Towers collapses in the simultaneously arrived the same conclusions that this type destruction were only because controlled demolitions. A demolition with this project we would return those as it was the case of the Twin Towers, observing many controlled demolition with many fires that have occurred in buildings. The controlled demolitions is very similar. Not decide exactly how the financial hurt the unit study desert. Even the way some structures remain they are similar to how steel can remain after demolition with explosives. Quite the contrary, in the case of the fires, the steel structures are almost intact after a fire. What the building can contain destroyed, but the structure remains there starting. This is a species of destruction and pain for the United States of America. And although it leaves many unknowns, there is already the lot that can be done.
The U.S. could not have demolished World Trade Center since this was the heart of the business of this country and the world.
Okay, were some people worried about the attacks?
Shortly after the attacks, a rumor began in the Middle East and spread throughout the world that claimed that 4,000 Jewish employees at the World Trade Center had not reported to work on September 11. Could it be that they were warned to stay away? A conspiracy theory suggests that September 11 was an Israeli plot to discredit the Arab world. The other theory was that the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad learned about the attacks beforehand and warned the Jewish community in New York. The rumor began after the Jerusalem Post reported that it was believed that approximately 4,000 Israelis lived or working in New York and Washington. Crucially, they did not say they were the dead or missing, only people in the immediate areas of the attack that could have been affected by destruction of the Thin Towers. Al Manor TV added a twist to the story. He reported that 4,000 Israelis working at the World Trade Center had not shown up for work on September 11. As the rumor spread the anti-Semitism, the details were clarified. According to official figures of the more than 2,700 victims of the World Trade Center attacks, approximately 2,000 were occupants of the Twin Towers. The investigation by the conspiracy phase shows that of the these 2,071 victims, 190 were confirmed and Jewish and another 72 were believed to be Jewish. This will make a total of 191 or 9.2% of the victims. This figure is in line with 9.7% of the population traveling to New York, which is believed to be Jewish.
If there really are figures that show that on September 11, approximately 4,000 Jews didn't go to war, this opens a lot the window to which they would have been those who decided to attack the Twin Towers. Laura, was the Pentagon really hit by a plane?
To answer this question, review the official version that the United States government said. First, American Airlines Flight 177 was the third aircraft hit as part of the September 11 attacks and deliberately crashed into the Pentagon, headquarters of the Department of Defense of the United States. The plane that was covered with the Washington Dulles International Airport links near Washington D.C. and the Angels International Airports in the city of the same name. Was he got before he had the Saudis went into 13.5 minutes of flight. The plane ended up crashing into the western facade of the Pentagon, causing the death of 64 people on board, as well as 125 people in the building. Dozens of people witnessed it, and within a few minutes, the news began to report on this. The impact generated a good part of the building, and fire generated the party collapse of it. Flight 177 was flying at 530 miles per hour when passing turned the Navy and its building. It made a spiral descent to an altitude of 600 meters, that ending up impacting on the west side of the Pentagon. The plane hit the building and the 11th from the first floor, and once crashed, he moved to the lift with the right wing left. In total, 189 deaths occurring in the Pentagon and aboard Flight 177. Now, we will talk about some more famous conspiracy theories. The first theory is about the plane that fell to the Pentagon. Is that no plane fell. According to some videos, they showed that it seemed that what really fell there was a missile and not a plane. While surprisingly, when media arrived and showed the pictures of the place, there was no plane, and remains total destroyed. Um, and second theory speaks of how who it is really very strange for people to have done anything when they began to detect in the radars the flag 177 that was heading towards the Pentagon. The Pentagon is obviously quite covered. It has a lot of information, and it also had a lot of security around in the know, which planets complete with the stipulated routes. When people go really analyze the tours, it was impossible for the plane to enter Pentagon radars and not shoot down, and really very evident that it was attacked and more rate is because already on other occasion, if they evade stolen, shot down, or alert airplanes that deviate will on the occasion, they just did not do it. And third, theory speak that previously in the area where the plane hit the plane was this part of the office as in Remo Lane or closet. Obviously, there was no lane staff in the area. So most people think to the government organize in such a way that they will not affect so many lives, and exactly where to the area was working in some Remo Lane. A fourth theory encompasses the seas of the hull that remain in the Pentagon. It was a possible that was the season of the 757 Boeing aircraft. Those planes are usually quite large, and it's very unusual that the size of the hull where its strength was so small compared to a real crash of the type of aircraft. I am fine theory talked about how strange the surveillance cams were at the moment of impact. According to what these cams they were to the truck were framed for the time to time. The frames of the plane's impact were just 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after that hit. So you never see clearly the exact moment in which plane crashed against the Pentagon. And one last theory is that in 2006, a man gave a statement that they saw a missile was heading towards the Pentagon. This last theory was questioned by most people since he would be the only one who say it, but really as if remains in doubt and possibility that it was true.
Micrófono, Aida.
It seemed very strong to me the fact of an attack of the caliber in complex shocks as the Pentagon. But all the evidence pointed out that the US made it sound as if they were responsible. However, there remains the doubt that they are guilty or not. Khaled.
Sigue Diana.
Khaled,
Could the attack have been prevented?
Let's start by clarifying that this has two points of view. That we must highlight from the beginning to be clear about what we are going to talk about. The first is the use that if we look at it from military objective point, I'm almost certain that at the time the planes that hit the Twin Towers that September 9, at the time there were diverted, kidnapped the government of the United States, he had knowledge. With that, I'm not saying that that government is involved. I made the clarification with his what I want is clarify that the government of United States has very advanced anti-terrorist security system that many of us don't really know.
Will and if the United States is so strong in advanced military technology that it could use against terrorism, why do I let the theme, the twin tower collapse that were one of the strongest and most repentant emblems that the United States had? But not only that, if the United States has a defense as consolidated as USA, we did it allow chose to break and hundreds of innocent people to die? Or is that perhaps the United States if they was interested in the 9/11 will take place?
This terrorist attack where hundreds of people died. The Twin Towers, that were actually one of the most representative blends of the United States of America, collapsed, and as a result, shows broke out as you expressed it, and that was planned and prepared by men under the leadership of Osama bin Laden. It was novel because, simple, at the moment it is not about the hijacking of planes. There is also full knowledge. There is also full knowledge of the people who at that time have been kidnapped, and although many people don't reach it to visualize it, is the reason why the government to the United States simply didn't destroy the airplanes and avoid the attack. Keep this very clear. A government that murders its own people to end terrorists ends up being more terrorists than the same groups that planned the attack.
Yes, yes, but it was possible to avoid the death of many people. There shall not be so many sacrificed.
Exactly. At this point, I would know that we would arrive. And please, I want Diana to put in this moment the shoes of the then President of the United States, Mr. Bush. You are able to imagine the magnitude of the reaction of all people towards the then president, that I say of all people of the entire plan, where the first aircraft with anti-terrorist missile had been shot down, and that the second plane had fallen in a place where not even those traveling on the plane had died. If you can imagine the worldwide rejection that would have generated the demolition of one of the hijacked planes. You imagine the great countries worldwide judging the actions of the American state. This would have destabilized the American Union, which was what the terrorists really wanted.
Diana, will you be able to order an attack against a group of innocent people to end or to terrorists without actually knowing what their true purpose were?
If it's something very difficult to handle when we say it from another point of view, really.
The second point is that suddenly the United States government could have avoided attacks, but this already has a past. It is not about avoiding it at the time they were notified of what was happening. I'm talking to them that the United States, in this desire to predominate, broke into many countries. For many decades, the Great World powers had fought for control of territory, but especially for the control of the territory that owns oil. This leads to breaking into concerns, cultures, religions that different populations can believe in. As we well know, in religions where people can have several women, where people are still exchanged for cattle, where it, where it is an honor to commit suicide in a terrorist attack and kill many more people. These are the things that I think the other countries could not change to give ground to the United States, and this led to its focus their anger in the country that gradually took away their identity. In conclusion, I think that if the United States hadn't broken into the development of other countries, the most common attacks and that were perpetrated by Eastern countries wouldn't have occurred. Laura, was Osama bin Laden really captured and killed?
Well, talk about you the is said in more depth. You must first know who Osama bin Laden was. Osama bin Laden was a jihadist terrorist of Saudi origin, member of the bin Laden family, and known for being for the founder of terrorist network Al Qaeda. He was responsibility for numerous terrorist attacks on the United States and West powers, such as the terrorist attack of September 11, 2001 on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. Osama bin Laden died on May 1 of the year 2011 during a military action of the United States. His identity could be confirmed through the ADN of his deceased sister. The body was taken by elements of the armed force of the States Unite after the attacks and remained in their position. In the attack, it was identified that Osama bin Laden died of two shots, one in the chest and the other in the head. But was Osama bin Laden really captured and murdered by the United States government? Osama bin Laden started his life as supposedly dead among the most famous and conspirational. On November 2 of 2007, Benazir Bhutto revealed that Osama bin Laden was killed by Ahmed Omar Saed Sheikh. This revelation was suppressed by the BBC of the original interview. The Bin Laden appears in 2007 in the new video, and according to members of the intelligence service of the United States, ensured that the tape is unique and that the voice emanating for the video belong to the leaders of Al Qaeda. Also, the United 13 of 2010, the Spanish newspaper El País and the Colombian newspaper El Tiempo present an interview with Sultan Tar, right hand of the Taliban fugitive Mullah Omar, in which he states that Bin Laden died of cancer of kidney between May and June of 2002. However, of March 25 of the 2010, Osama bin Laden appears and sent a warning to the United States government that an audio broadcast on the Al Qaeda television network Hazard bin Laden said that the USA made the decision to execute Jali Sheikh Mohammed, supposed brain of the day's attack. Al Qaeda will excuse all the American in his power. The death of Osama bin Laden in the open field is another issue of controversy, and at this point, another new conspiracy. Also, if the United States government is so sure that they have ended the life of the most wanted terrorist, why did he not facilitate the videos of picture and his death? Why did the intervention of his body rush into Syria?
Really, that in the official version of the death of Osama bin Laden, at that time President Barack Obama and former CIA Director John Bradman said that Osama bin Laden was armed and that one of his women dead after being used as human child. On the contrary, the spokesman of the White House, Joe Carney, affirmed that the terrorist was not armed when they armed and special force opened fire on him and that his wife was only wounded in one leg. Islamic law denies and rejects that burial that is not in accordance with the Sharia, and do the photos that prove the corpus belonging to the terrorists were not published by United States government because they would because to match media impact, so it was preferred to keep them secret. A large percent of voters believe that the death of Osama bin Laden was a montage by the CIA and the United States government. Aida, Was 9/11 caused by U.S. government on purpose?
This is a question that world a company used for life. The United States, as a military intelligence power of the world, it had a really disastrous blow. But although many left groups point out that it could be the cause of this, it really cannot be affirmed since the youth are playing with the dreams and aspirations of the many people. Many of them who lost their relatives day, but maybe yes, maybe not. How could the U.S. benefit? United States and justifying the war with Afghanistan in that no, because no, perhaps hidden many things to no show weakness. It is not known until today with certain what was really happened on September 11, 21.
I understood that the attack of September 11, as the videos point out, was not created by the United States government. Because what reason would they have for a catastrophe of such magnitude? Because they did something that would affect them, that they will win with this, in my opinion. Perhaps this arose in revenge on the part of these other people since the United States attacked them, pursued them, invaded their lands, so they took revenge by attacking this emblematic place, thus killing hundreds of people.
I don't think it was I don't think it was purpose because it is evidence that the Israelis has reason to carry out these attacks and the US will not end their our country considering that the site of the attack was in the heart of New York. Thank you all for your participation. This activity was carried out according to the English 3 course of the UNAD English degree program. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye, partners.
Se demora en ¿Ya la cancelaste?